Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad that you could be with me here on the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Really not a bad day today. My favorite season, I don't know about you, but my favorite season is fall. And there's just something about it, temperature-wise and otherwise. It's kind of a melancholic feeling. Same type of same type of feeling that you get from the classical guitar. It has a poetic, melancholic sound. I play a little classical guitar. I want to ask the question: why am I so discouraged? That's something that you would say, right? That's something that I would say. I'm using it in the first person. Why am I so discouraged? And there's a hymn that is one of my favorites. His eye is on the sparrow. It's from a message that Jesus gave. And that's how the first line of the hymn goes. Why should I be discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should I feel, I think it says, why should I feel so lonely? And the question that I want for you to ask yourself is, why am I so discouraged? Now, I'm sure that many of you are going to already know why you're discouraged. There's problems in the home, problems in the marriage, and then we just keep going, problems in the world and all of that. And then you've been having a rough time of it. So what I'm going to address today is how you can encourage yourself. Now there's a passage in the Bible, in the story of King David, where, and most of you would know that David started out his life as a huge hero when he slew Goliath, this 9-foot giant. And he did it with a sling and a stone. So he was a great hero for many years. And then, and I won't go through the whole details of the story, then he has some down moments. And at one point, the people that followed him, that really supported him, were talking about killing him, stoning him. So what the scripture says, it says, and David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. That's what I want to address today as the solution for those of you who are saying, I don't know why I'm so discouraged. Or you know why you're discouraged. But there's another word that I would like to introduce to you, and it's the word endorsement. Now you may see I have a shirt on here that says support 518, and at the bottom here it says strong, 518 strong. I honestly don't know much about the organization, whoever they are, the group. Someone gave it to me, says, hey, you want a t-shirt? And I said, yeah, fine, that's great, I'll wear it. And advertise for, I'm not even sure who I'm advertising for. But let's say, for example, that I was going to compete on a level of going for a world record. And then there's some companies, maybe my local gym, that would say, hey, you know what, we'd like to endorse you. So that means they're going to pay for maybe my supplements or whatever. I mean, if you're endorsing a big personality, you're going to do a lot for them. And so an endorsement is somebody getting behind you and actually just promoting you, and also to encourage you. What I want to share with you today on the question of why am I so discouraged? It's not so much to provide the answer, because I mean, how could I rationally provide an answer for you like why you're discouraged? I wouldn't know. But when it comes to nervous symptoms, to anxiety and depression and so on, that's what we talk about on this channel. Many of you, and I'm just going to zero in on this, you're discouraged by your symptoms. Right? That's what we're going to talk about today. You're discouraged by your symptom, just discouraged that no matter how hard you've tried and you've followed Pastor Barnett's advice and it don't work. Well, first of all, it does work, but we'll leave that be for a moment. And you've failed, as I said to you last broadcast, your first, second, third, fourth attempt, you failed, didn't work first time, second, third, fourth, it's not working. So you get discouraged and you give up and you stop trying. Or you just give it a half effort or whatever. You're distracted from your life's task and purpose. Well, when regarding anxiety, depression, and nervous symptoms, and stress, and all these things, you're discouraged by your symptoms. The palpitations, the sweaty palms, the racing thoughts, the headaches, the feeling of air hunger, choking, chest pressure, and so on, and so on, and so on. And you're discouraged by your ailment. So what has to happen, because as we have, I've shared with you many times on this broadcast, you're not always going to have, and it's unfortunate, but you're not always going to have people around you that are going to be cheering you on. Some will, and I tell you, if you even have one person in your life that's really, very supportive and come on, you can do it and you can make it and so on. You're very, very blessed. You really are, because most people don't have that. It's like the Beach Boys song, "Don't Worry Baby," the song about his girl, his girlfriend is always saying, "Hey, don't worry baby, it's going to be all right." And that sounds really appealing, but the truth of it is, not too many people have in their lives someone who's endorsing them or encouraging them. I just spoke with a very pleasant young woman who, from my own observation, and I could be wrong, is doing, the job that she's doing, that's easy to see, that she's doing a very, very excellent job. But my guess, based on many years of experience and studying people, is that she wasn't getting enough feedback of how good a job she was doing. So I have had a habit of just writing an email for somebody. I've done it on several occasions. When I see they're really doing a good job, and I also don't get the impression that anybody's really, saying, "Hey, you're doing a good job." If you have a boss, if you're still working, and you have a boss that, at least from time to time, will says, "Hey, man, keep up the good work. You're doing a really good job." You got a good boss. Unfortunately, most administrators don't do that. Maybe they'll give you a bonus at the end of the year, and that's great. But getting through all 365 days till you get the bonus, you're kind of on your own. All right, let me stick with the symptoms. So, I think we could narrow down the fact to this, to this truth. I think it's the truth. There's so many of you that deal with anxiety and depression and tons of stress and frustrations, and I was talking about fatigue the last broadcast. You're pretty much on your own, even though you got a family, you've got a spouse, you got relatives, or you got children or whoever. You don't have too much endorsement, and you don't have too much encouragement. It's true for many, many of us. I'm actually very blessed because I have a lot of people who give me a lot of feedback, including this channel. So I'm pretty blessed, but sometimes it's disappointing to want to have that endorsement, that encouragement from people close to you, and it's not there. That's the case for most of you. It really is, and you know that. So what I want to exhort you to do today is to learn. It's really not much to learn, but learn how to endorse yourself. This is something that the Spec Ops people, like the Navy SEALs, they practice. This kind of self-talk. That's not a new concept. To encourage themselves. I just said that David had to do it because everybody that was supporting him now wanted to kill him. And so he had to encourage himself. He had to encourage himself in the Lord. And what I'm saying to you today is this. You are going to have to develop a habit of encouraging yourself in this life that we live. What I mean by that, again, because we deal with nervous symptoms, anxiety, depression, you're going to have to learn, and it has to become a habit, that you say to yourself, hey, I handled that pretty good. Or with the fatigue thing that I just dealt with last broadcast. So you're feeling fatigued and you got up and I exhorted you, as I have in the past, to get up and take that walk and do the exercise or do your housework and go to work or all of the above. And you did it. But what happens with most people is they don't ever endorse themselves or encourage themselves and say, you know what, I faced this challenge today and I did it. Because if you are going to depend on other people to endorse you, you may be waiting a long, long time. A long, long time. And again, if you have someone in your life that's encouraging you and endorsing you, that's really, really great. But most of us, or most people, don't. So, you're going to have to learn how to encourage yourself, and you're going to have to learn how to endorse yourself and say, you know, hey, I took Pastor Ray's advice, or maybe you just came up with it on your own. You got up, you got dressed, you went to work. You didn't want to go to work, and you felt fatigued, and you were nervous and whatever, but you did the hard work. And you know what? I want to talk to those who have been subscribed for over 2 years, 2.5 years. This is not a subject that I think I addressed before. I'm not sure that I did. Many of you are making really great progress, and you need to endorse yourself, because it's not going to come, other than from me, it's not going to come from too many people around you. That's the truth. Lots of reasons for that, but let's not bother ourselves with that. Let's not detain ourselves with that. You're not going to have a lot of endorsement from the people around you and from others, and you wish that you would. So you're going to have to do it yourself. You're going to have to do like David did, and you're going to have to learn how to encourage yourself in the Lord your God. You're going to have to learn to talk to yourself and say, I would suggest you do it up here, not talk out loud, for obvious reasons. You're going to have to learn how to say, hey, you know what, I was really fatigued today, and I got up and I did it anyway. I went for the walk, I went to work and all that. And if you do, it's going to well, I won't say so much crystallize, but it's going to just solidify the conviction that you can overcome these nervous symptoms. It's difficult, as I always say to you, simple principles, even endorsing yourself or encouraging yourself, the same thing, is not going to come easy. You're going to do something, and many of you have followed the instructions, you've done it, and what you didn't do, and maybe that's my fault for not mentioning it earlier in these years, couple of years that we've been together, is to endorse yourself and say, wow, I'm making progress here. For those of you who are making progress, endorse yourself. Say, this is good. Thank God, I'm making progress. For those of you who got up out of the fatigue and went ahead and did what you had to do, endorse yourself, because that I would call it self-endorsement. That self-endorsement is going to give you the motivation that you need, because once again, you're not going to get this from too many people. I work in a gym, I work out in a gym, as you know, and I have all my life. And in the gym, there's a kind of a camaraderie, even with people you don't know. They're trying to go for a personal best or whatever they're doing, and you'll get the endorsement from most. But in this world, in the real world, or just in the world, you don't get much. So you're going to have to learn to endorse yourself when you're doing the right thing and you're making the progress and you're doing the hard work, regardless of how maybe little progress you think you're making, or you may actually be making little progress. Endorse yourself for it. And the more you do, you will solidify the habit of endorsing yourself for when you do good. Because I say this for, I don't know, this maybe the 4th time. Don't expect too much from your boss. Don't expect too much from all the people around you, and you want that, but we accept life as it is, not as we wish it would be or hope it would be. That's the way it is. And so, you think I'm telling you something that I don't have to do daily? Believe me, I have to do it a lot, every day, throughout the day. I have to endorse myself. I have to encourage myself and say, hey, Because nobody really knows what I'm going through, and nobody knows what struggles I have, other than God himself. Nobody knows. So I have to say, hey, you know what? You're making progress here, and well, you get the picture. Why am I so discouraged? Well, part of that reason was twofold. There's not a lot of encouragement coming at you from others, and that's just the way it is. And you haven't learned the principle to encourage yourself. You learn the principle of how to encourage yourself. You will not be dependent on others telling you you're doing a good job. But if it does happen, that's a double bonus. Now you got it coming from inside, and you got it coming from outside. All right? So I want you to begin now, right now, and endorse yourself. Let me just say something very quickly. If you're not following the rules, and there's not a lot to endorse. So that's the truth too. But won't go there. You're doing the work. You're giving it your all. Difficulties, stress, whatever, and you're making progress. Learn to encourage yourself in the Lord your God, and also to endorse yourself and say, hey, I'm making progress. I did that. Let me pray for you today. Father, as always, I pray for my friends and ask you to strengthen them, teach them that principle that David used when he encouraged himself when everyone else was not only not encourage him, they were going to kill him. And you came through and delivered him. Deliver my friends as well, I pray. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Okay, hey, I've noticed that we're picking up subscribers, and that's great. I always accent the fact that we are a small channel, and that may change in the future, I don't know, but at the moment, I'm accenting the advantage of having a small group, because it's manageable for me to answer you when you make comments or if you ask questions. So if you want to email me, don't want to leave a comment, you could do it at TFT, stands for Time for Truth, TFT at Time for, F-O-R, Truth, Time for Truth, TFT at timefortruth.com, if you have something you don't want to post it publicly. Otherwise, just leave me a comment. And so we have the small group, and you are definitely invited to join. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button. That's a real good idea, because my videos usually go up at the same time every day, but sometimes it changes. And then I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you got something out of this. I've told you before, if you want to give me a thumbs down, I'm good either way, but I don't know that YouTube is doing that. Doesn't matter. The thumbs up helps keep us on the radar, and others can find us that need the help that I've been giving to you. All right? If you want to be with us, just subscribe to the channel, and be great to have you on board. Weather should hold up this week. Supposed to get very nice. Real fall weather coming up. So, God willing, I'll be with you here again tomorrow on the Oasis. And always remember, let the peace of Christ rule in your heart today. God bless. Lord willing, I'll see you again tomorrow.